Good one. Just do a quick audio check to see if people can hear me. If you type into the chat window whether they're getting audio or not, that would be great. Okay. So, welcome. My name is Steve Matthews. I'm the Director of Housing and Residence Life at SUNY Plattsburgh.
And I'm Tricia Pellern. I'm the Assistant Director of Housing here as well.
And tonight we're going to go through a presentation to give you some background and insight into our residence life and housing operation at SUNY Plattsburgh. I'll talk about some of the services we offer within our buildings. And Tricia's going to go through some of the different styles of buildings and a shell version of how we do housing assignments and how you folks can apply for housing and that type of thing. Throughout the presentation, if you have questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A portion, and we'll answer them probably a couple times throughout the presentation. We may take a break and answer some questions, and certainly at the once we've wrapped up our remarks, we'll have all sorts of time for questions and answers. What I'm going to do How about folks hear me now?
I could on mine, but if not, we can, yeah.
Okay, that might be my big thumbs. I think I may have muted the microphone. All right, so you have to give me some latitude. so as I was saying, when I was muted, it looks like we pride ourselves on being student-centered and trying to give our students the best experience they can have while in our residence halls, keeping you safe, keeping you secure, and trying to give you activities that truly impact and work well with what's happening in the classroom. Just to give you a sense of what we offer here at the college, we have 12 residence halls in total. We take one offline and completely renovate that residence hall. So there we're actually in the process of, we're just over halfway finished with renovating one of our first-year residence halls, Wilson Hall. When we do those renovations, what we're doing is upgrading almost every aspect of the building, from the envelope to make it more heat efficient and more energy efficient, replacing the windows, putting new surfaces in the residence hall rooms, and now upgrading the amenities within the residence hall. When we upgrade our residence halls, we add, for instance, a kitchenette on every one of our floors. So every floor in our residence halls, when we're done with our renovations, will have its own kitchenette. New study areas, trying to add more privacy to the bathroom facilities we have, and trying to really modernize the look and the feel of the residence halls. So each year we are committed to taking one building offline and renovating those, and that's not an inexpensive venture. This year's renovation will cost us in the neighborhood of $17 or $18 million to do. So it's just a pretty substantial process. You've read ahead a little bit here on looking at the safe and secure environment that we provide for our students. All of our buildings are locked 24 hours a day, and they're controlled by your student ID card. You'll have access to the residence hall which you live in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just by swiping your ID card past a little panel that leads you into the building. And each of our residence halls entrances are covered by a security camera, as well as in every elevator and as well as in every laundry room within our residence halls. All of our dorm rooms, our residence hall rooms, have a combination lock. We do not use keys on our campus, so you'll receive a combination along with a roommate if you have a roommate, and that's how you access your residence hall rooms, as well as the staff that we have in residence halls that are to a safe environment, but also provide programming and activities to keep you involved in our campus. And go out saying all of our residence halls exceed all fire safety codes within New York State. And all the residence halls, when we renovate, are fully sprinkled once we are done with the renovation. The amenities that we offer within the residence halls, these are all included on your college bill. We operate our own cable television system on a campus, which includes, I believe, 9 HBO stations and I think 5 or 6 stations. Along with that, you get the free HBO Go, Cinemax Go, which means that regardless of where you are in the world, you can access HBO Go and Cinemax Go as you log in through our campus residence login information. Also provide Wi-Fi fully within residence halls. They're all covered completely. And we run our own movie streaming video site. And on that video streaming site, we have movies that are not yet available for streaming anywhere else, like on Netflix or those kind of things. And we also offer some classic movies on there as well. Included in your bill is a $40 fee, and what that covers for you is unlimited use of our residence halls and your facilities. You don't have to worry about bringing quarters. You don't have to put money on your card to have a declining balance. Once you paid that fee, you can use the washing machines every day, 3 days if you choose to. It's not the where you have to worry about having quarters or put money on a card to do that. As about kitchenettes, all of our residence halls have kitchenettes. The building we have not yet renovated do not have as many kitchenettes, but that's one of the commitments we're making as we go through and do our renovations is to provide a kitchenette on every floor. Then the other neat thing about the laundry system on campus, and all campuses have similar programs, is our machines are hooked up to the wireless network as well. What that means for you is when your laundry is done, you can have a text message sent to you to let you know that your laundry has been finished. It also allows you to log on to a website that is specific to our campus. On that website, you'll see all of our residence halls, and you can click on any residence hall's laundry room, and it will show you in a visual representation which machines are in use, which ones are open. The machines that are in use, it will tell you how much longer that cycle has to run. And what that means is that as a student, you don't have to constantly be going to the laundry room with your laundry to determine if there's a machine open. You can look online and make a decision when you go down to the laundry room. And our students certainly find that feature having a text sent to them pretty handy so that they can, do laundry as soon as it's done. And we'll turn things over to Tricia. And if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type those into the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to deal with them.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the different building styles that we offer on our campus. So the first being a corridor-style high-rise buildings. Most of these buildings have 9 floors on them with a basement. There's approximately 18 rooms around the outside of the building with elevators that serve every floor. In these buildings, there's also a shared restroom and inside the building. Each floor has a main lounge and a study area. larger lounges on the first floor and within the basement that also houses a kitchen, a recreation area, and vending. And these buildings are Banks Hall, Whiteface Hall, and Wilson Hall. As Steve mentioned earlier, Wilson Hall is being renovated currently and will be opening up for this fall semester. Will be newly renovated. Whiteface Hall will also be one of our first-year buildings. And this year, Banks Hall will actually also be closed. It will not be available for students for this coming academic year, but will open up the following year. Let's ask a question about how many roommates do freshmen usually have. Typically, every student on campus will live in a double room. There are occasions where we do have to triple students, and that's partly because of the renovations that we are doing on campus. Usually, if we do have to triple students, which means that there's 3 people in a room, we usually have enough room on campus within the first few weeks of the semester that those end up breaking down and there ends up being only 2 people to a room. However, some students do end up, liking living with 3 people, and so remain doing that. Our campus also offers something called the double guarantee. And what we do with that is we say the first 750 students that apply to housing are guaranteed to live in a double. So that's why we encourage all students who are all set to be coming to Plattsburgh to make sure you first pay your admissions deposit, and the first thing you're going to want to do is fill out your housing application. We all of our housing assignments on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you fill out that housing application and you're one of the first 750 students to apply, you will be guaranteed a double room. Going on to the next type of building style we have, which is our suite-style high-rise buildings. These buildings have 9 to 10 floors, also with the basement level. There's about 14 to 16 rooms that are clustered in suites, with a restroom within each suite, serving about 6 to 8 students. So it depends on the building that you're in. Some of the suites are a little smaller, as it says there. There's either 6 students or there's 8 students. There's a smaller shared suite lounge in 2 of the buildings, while the other has a large shared study relaxation lounge on each floor. Each floors in these style buildings also have a kitchenette available for students. The first floor and the basement house a common space and a vending area. There's elevators that serve each floor. And all of these buildings listed below have been renovated, so Hood Hall, DeFriedenberg Hall, and Moffett Hall. Each of these buildings, they're mixed class years, which means that there are freshmen through seniors living throughout these buildings.
Question, Tricia, somebody's asked if we're at 750 yet. I think we're at 748. I'm kidding. No, we're not. We're not close to that. Tricia,
No.
About when did we reach that last year?
It'll usually be, I would say, sometime in April that we would reach somewhere around the 750. So if you're looking, you're all set to come here, you've paid your deposit, fill out the application. You can always make changes to your application. So if you haven't gone online yet, make sure you do that first. It is still pretty early in our process. The application's just released on the 1st of February. So, like I said, it's still pretty early in our process.
And another question about a freshman living in a suite-style residence hall, and absolutely, we let your students live in suite-style residence halls.
Yep, you could live in any of these buildings that I was just describing: Hood Hall, DeFriedenberg, or Moffett Hall. Any of those would be available to first students, other students as well. The style building that we have are low-rise corridors. There's about 3 floors, a basement in these buildings. They're similar to an L, with about 13 to 18 rooms along each wing. Each wing of residents shares a common restroom. The elevated buildings have lounges that have kitchenettes on each floor and elevators that serve each floor as well. There's a common lounge on the first floor and basement area with usually recreation. Usually there's like a ping pong table or pool table. Some have foosball tables in them as well. Kitchenettes and vending in these. Hinton Hall, Mason Hall, McDonough Hall are the ones that have been renovated so far. Macomb Hall is going down this upcoming academic year for renovations, and that will open up in next academic year. This one's a little bit unique as it houses just about every type of housing accommodation you could think in it, as far as it has double rooms or suites, which is different than just a building that's completely full of suites. So you have your traditional double-style corridor and suites in this building. McDonough Hall and Harrington Hall are both for upper-class students, so these two buildings would not be available for first-year students.
Questions, I can answer one. Yes, freshmen can have a car on campus. And Tricia, you go after the one about roommates.
Sure. Someone asked, do we use our own roommates or will we meet a roommate when we move in? We wait to do our housing assignments until later in the summer. Typically, we work on our housing assignments and get those out to students in early August. And that's because our summer orientation program takes place most in the month of July, and during that time, sometimes students will come and meet someone that they want to room with at that. So we wait until that is over and we complete the housing assignments. If you don't have someone in mind that you'd like to room with, what the housing office does is we find you a roommate based off of the questions that you answered on your housing application. There's a few other options you could do if you're someone who would like to try to search for your own roommate. There actually is a function available on the housing module where you can create a profile and you can search for a roommate who has answered the questions very similar to yourself. So you have a couple different options. Either way is fine with us. You can search for someone if you'd like to. If you have someone in mind, you can search that way, or we'll place someone for you.
And if I found somebody I wanted to room with, Tricia, how would the college know that?
Right. So if you find someone you want to room with, you'll go onto the housing module. You will search that person's name, and from the site, you actually send them a request. So if you find, let's just say you want to live with Steve Matthews, you search Steve Matthews, you look for him, you're going to send him a request. Steve would have to go onto his account then and accept your request as a roommate. We won't pair anyone together unless it's a mutually matched roommate. If you have someone in mind you'd like to live with, make sure that you both are going on and that the system does say that you are mutually matched.
Yeah, and folks, just so you have a sense of it, the housing module is a software-based housing process that we use here at the college that is open and available. And Tricia will be actually doing another WebEx, I believe it's next month, almost how-to, step-by-step of going through that process. So if you have questions about that, you certainly can take part in that WebEx as well.
Absolutely. And this process for searching for roommates or making any changes to your housing application will be open and available to students up until right around July 18th or 19th. So you have plenty of time to be, looking at someone that you may be looking to room with, or like I said, any changes to your application. So no worries if you are not sure, what the coming semester may look like for you. Just as long as you get your application in now, and then you'll have some time next several weeks to make any changes. And if you have questions on how to go about doing that, feel free to reach out to our office. At the end of our presentation, we'll have our contact information posted, so you can certainly from there and then contact us.
You do get your ID card when you attend orientation. That's part of the orientation process. You'll have your photo taken and you'll be issued your ID card at that orientation.
So these are some unique features within our residence halls. Mason Hall houses the Student Mail Center. So we have a centralized mail center on campus for students, just on-campus students. You can access it through the backside of Mason Hall, and it's available 24 hours a day. So if you get either mail or packages sent to you, you can get it at, let's just say you had class really late, you're studying in the library, it's now midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you say, oh my gosh, I have a package to pick up. You could still go and pick that up even though our traditional mail hours are not open, so it's kind of a unique feature of our mail center is that you can get your mail 24 hours a day. So again, Hood Hall. Hood Hall houses a fitness center satellite location. So if you've paid the fitness center fee, you can use the satellite fitness center that's in Hood Hall. Sonnenberg Hall houses 4 sound-restricted music practice rooms. Those are located in the lower level of the building, and those are open to any on-campus student to use. Hall houses an interfaith prayer room. Harrington Hall has a deck that's off the lower lounge, which is great to use, especially in the warmer months when we're here. McKent and Mason are along the Saranac River Walk, and they're open to the Rugers Commons. There's a great yard space that we have out in front of our buildings, and a really nice walking trail that we have that goes through campus and the local community. Bay Hall houses upper-class student apartments on the top 2 floors, and as I mentioned earlier, that building will be down this academic year, but will open up again in the fall of 2018. Adirondack Hall houses a senior living section, substance-free housing section, and a gender-inclusive housing section. So those are some unique areas within the Adirondack Hall. In particular, you are looking to sign up for either substance-free housing or gender-inclusive housing. I would ask that you contact the housing office directly just to inquire about it, and we can walk you through the additional steps of filling out the applications for those 2 separate areas, and we can also give you a little more information on what those areas entail.
A couple questions. I'll take a stab at the fitness center question. The fitness center is a fee-based program. In other words, it's not included on your bill. It's an optional fee you can pay to be a member of the fitness center, and that's paid by semester. Once you've paid the fitness center membership, you have unlimited access to the fitness center, obviously, you know, as long as it's open during those hours. And that is both the fitness center in Memorial Hall as well as the satellite center in Hood Hall. It is the same membership for both facilities, and you can use it unlimited as long as the facility is open. Roommates. If you choose a roommate, Tricia, and you end up not getting along, which hardly ever happens, what do you do? Do you have to stay with them?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're with a roommate and maybe it doesn't seem to be the best fit for you, what we would do is we'd ask you to come into the housing office, and we actually would have a list of students available that also have a vacancy in their room, and we'd be able to help you process a room change. You know, we do want our students to be living in a good situation so that they can be successful while they are students here. So if where you're living isn't the best fit, we will definitely help you with that. The only sort of stipulation that we do have is usually at the start of every semester, we have about 2-week room freeze period where we ask that students don't make any room changes, just so we can take inventory of where students are on campus, and if we have additional vacancies that come available, we'll be able to kind of get a better sense of that and be able to tell people, you know, where we do have vacancies. So that's no problem if things aren't working out that great, or maybe you're just got placed in a building and you don't really like the location or something. That's fine. You can certainly come to the office and we'll be able to help walk you through the steps.
And a question about the fitness center membership. We're not sure. We're either thinking it's $90 or $95 a semester, and covers the fitness center, which is where all of the weights are, and the the cardiovascular machines, as well as a climbing wall. And they also have a large multi-purpose room, which they use for all sorts of various classes and courses. And we do have a fitness and wellness leadership program here on campus, so a lot of the students are and have to, as part of their program, work in the fitness center as personal trainers. And so you can come and get a personal trainer as part of that fee, and they'll work on plans with you and help you get into the shape you want to get into.
Okay, so some other housing options I touched a little bit briefly on was that we offer gender-inclusive housing and a first-year housing program. So as we mentioned earlier, we do have 2 buildings on campus. Next year it will be Whiteface Hall and Wilson Hall, which is our first-year program, meaning that students that go in those buildings the building is full of all first-year students. However, we have we can only fit about half of our incoming first-year students within those 2 buildings. So other students that are in as first-year students who don't get placed in those 2 buildings will get placed in the other buildings throughout campus, except for in Harrington and McDonough. Your housing isn't for everybody, but if it's something that you are interested in, again, you're going to want to make sure you fill out your application as soon as possible and make sure that you select first-year housing on your application. Other standard housing that we have are double rooms, singles, and triples, as mentioned. Most of our rooms are guaranteed to be doubles if you're within the first 750 students that apply. So, say it again, as soon as you paid your deposit, you'll be able to go online and set a housing application. We do have some single rooms available on campus, but traditionally these rooms are set aside for either upper class students or those who may have a medical need for those rooms. If you feel like that's something that you may need, you can certainly reach out to the housing office and we can walk you through that process.
What we have yoga classes? I'm told we do. I hope any more specific than that because I've never ever been in a yoga class. But I know if you go to the Plattsburgh website, you can certainly do in the search box Fit Center. I'm sure you'll get I'm sure there's schedules and gives you a sense of all the different classes and when they're offered and how often they're offered and that kind of thing.
So there's a few questions on here about the prices for rooms. We are still working to get our prices set and up on the website for the upcoming academic year, but if you do go to the plattsburgh.edu webpage and type in the little search box, rent, you can get a sense of the different buildings on campus and the different rates for the different room types that are on there.
Question: whether first-year students are considered essentially transfer students, whether they're considered first-year students even though coming in as potentially juniors.
Yeah, so transfer students, nope, you're looked at as your class. So if you're coming in and you're technically a junior, we are looking at you through your credits and your class, and you're not considered a first-year student. However, you are considered a new student to our campus.
What that means for housing is unless you chose or wanted to live with a first-year student, we would honor your request, or we would try and match you up with an upper-class student, either one of our returning students or a new transfer student as well. And there's a question about, do you pay an extra for a single room? Yeah.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, you can certainly look up the different prices for the different building types that we have and the difference between the prices on our website. Again, those are the prices that are listed right now are for this current academic year. Probably in the next several weeks, we'll have the prices listed for the 2017-2018 year shortly. All right, apply for housing. I've mentioned this a few times as I have been talking, but first thing you're going to do is make sure you pay that housing deposit. When you pay your housing deposit, it includes the housing deposit.
The admissions deposit.
Did I say?
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. You're going to pay your admissions deposit, and that includes the housing deposit, yes. Once you've done that, you're going to have access to the admissions checklist. You find the housing application by looking at the admissions checklist. There's a little link there for housing. You'll be able to be directed right to our website that way. The way you could find it is if you log on to your My Plattsburgh account. When navigating that website, there'll also be a link on there for the housing application as well. Coming a few weeks, if folks need some assistance walking through the application, that's what our next session is going to be based on, is we're actually going to pull up the housing application and walk you through what the system looks like and how to get to it. But in the meantime, if people do have trouble finding that, here's our contact information. You could certainly send us an email or visit our webpage that also has the instructions on how to access the application right on site. If other folks, that's pretty much the end of our presentation that we have for you. I don't know if people still have questions. You can type those in the question and answer field they have, and we can do our best to answer those.
And your questions don't necessarily have to be about housing and residence life. If you have other questions that you think, you know, got some folks that work at the college, I'd like to bounce some things off of them, feel free to do so. We've been here for a while and may be able to help you get some questions answered or whatnot. When a freshman, do you room with more than 2 people?
Right. So traditionally our housing is double, but we sometimes have to triple students. We guarantee that the first 150 students that do apply to housing will be guaranteed to live in a double, meaning that you'd have 1 roommate. If you apply later in our process, then there is a chance that you may have 2 people as a roommate. Possibility. And there are some people that have requested to live in a triple. If you live in a triple, there will be a slight price hike because you're living in a triple. And that will depend on how long we need to keep that triple open. But if it were for a full semester, now if we had to keep you in a triple for a full semester, you'd receive a $500 discount. What is freshman orientation schedule? That's on their website, on the Plattsburgh website. We don't run orientation, but it's typically end of June to July 23rd, in that range. And there are six or 8 different sessions that students will get to choose from. Ask the question, why wouldn't I want to be in first-year housing if I'm a freshman? That's a great question. It really depends on you as a student. So you could think of it this way, you know, would you want to live in a building with essentially your entire senior class? So if you look at it that way, there's going to be a lot of energy in that building. So if you're someone who sleeps and studies and prefers it to be a little bit quieter, you may prefer to live in a different building with sort of mixed class student years. So honestly, it's really up to the individual and sort of what you're looking for. Also, another thing to look at is our first year housing program is within 2 high-rise buildings. Those buildings have 9 floors in them. If someone who prefers in a building that only has 3 floors, maybe you prefer not to be in first housing.
And we have staff in our buildings and on every floor. In the first year buildings, we have an RA, which is a resident assistant who works for our office, and a community advocate. Those are both going to be mentoring those first year students through that first year in the first year buildings. And I saw one pumped up. If I selected high rise, how are buildings assigned?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter which building type that you select on your application. Everyone is kind of assigned the same. So we do all the assignments based on how they come in. So first come, first serve. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at your application, and we're going to match you up with another student unless you've already requested to live with somebody else. And as space is available, we will assign you to a building based on that. The next question is rooming gender related? So our traditional housing, we do have both actually. We have housing where students can live with someone of the same gender. That's what we typically house students. But in our gender inclusive program, we do house students who may be of opposite genders together in a room. But again, that's something you would have to contact our office about, and we would prefer you to have maybe a roommate in mind that you'd like to room with before we assign you to that area.
Had a question of, so you get to choose the room and floor we get as a first year student, I assume?
Usually no. Usually you don't get to pick the floor or the room unless you are a return student. So if you are a current student here, you will be able to log onto the system and essentially pick the building and the room that you want to live in. But unfortunately, no, going through the housing process, as a new incoming student, you do not get to have the choice of what floor, what room you're going to be in.
Was from a transfer student asking if they apply, are they going to be eligible for the upper class buildings that we talked about, McDonough and Harrington?
Yep, if you're a new incoming transfer student, you could certainly choose on your application that you would like to live in upper class housing. Yep, if you're a sophomore, junior, or senior, or potentially even a grad student, you could certainly live in any of our upper class buildings.
The question about, let me see here. So how do you request the quieter dorm? Let me just be on record as saying we expect all of our residence halls to be quiet enough that if you choose to study in your room, it takes precedent. Now, there's when every building is a little louder, and that's one of the things our team works to try and keep the noise down. Tricia said the first-year buildings tend to be more active. I'm not going to say that they're louder or that there's more things happening there. It's just going through that shared experience, that new experience of being a college student, and Tricia put it well. It's like living with your entire senior class, all the walks of life there. We had one that scrolled up. I'll try and get in a second. If they applied early, do they renovated building?
So if you apply early and you've selected one of the it's building style, yes, if there's still place available in the renovated buildings, you will certainly get placed there. This question is, what is included in the kitchenette? Are there ovens or microwaves? Yes, there are ovens, there are microwaves, and there is a mini fridge available in that space. You can bring your own refrigerator to have in your room, but only one refrigerator per room. So I'll just note that. Yep, there's full oven and a microwave available in the kitchenette for you.
And that has been one of the more popular things that we've done in our residence halls.
An athlete asked a question. They said, I'm a soccer player and I'd like to room with a teammate. If so, how? What I would recommend is that you reach out to your coach, and your coach can help you someone that is also on the team, and you'll be able to go on to the housing software and search another individual from the team based on a teammate that your coach mentions to you.
The same process. So you're just in essence requesting a teammate. Their teammate says yes, and then you room together. Folks, is there anything else that is on someone's mind?
All right, well, it looks like I think those are all the questions we have for now. If folks have any additional questions, again, my information is up on the screen now, as well as Steve's. Feel free to send us an email or give us a call, as well as visit our webpage, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that may come to you after today.
And if you forget our email, or don't write them down, you often send an email to our office by typing in housing@plattsburgh.edu. So housing, HOUSING, @plattsburgh.edu. Thank you.